Good evening to all the liberated zones of Africa. Burkina Faso, the land of Ibrahim Traore, the Lion of Faso, liberating Burkina Faso. Good evening today to Mali. Good evening to Malians, the liberated zone of Africa. Good evening, Asim Goita of Mali, Abdullah Rahman Tian of Niger. Good evening. And good evening to the liberated zone of South Africa. Good evening, KZN. Good evening. History still has to record. The tellers of the tales will have to talk about it. An 82-year-old man who decided to liberate his people. An 82-year-old man who decided to stand in the gap. Streets shall be named after him. His statues will appear across Africa. Today in discussion, the MK Party Constitution. Today in discussion, the MK Party Constitution. President Jacob Zuma, the Lion of South Africa, the man who took over, the man who collapsed the British Empire in South Africa, the man who decided to take the responsibility to collapse the dollar in South Africa, President Jacob Zuma. Let me share this as we discuss.
So we're going to read a statement which is basically the outcomes of the National High Command meeting of uMkhonto weSizwe Party. So the electronic version of that statement will be circulated to all members of the media, and will also circulate another document that is relevant for the purposes of this statement. So uMkhonto weSizwe Party held its National High Command meeting on the 25th to the 27th of September 2024 in Johannesburg, Gauteng Province. The National High Command is the highest decision-making body in uMkhonto weSizwe Party. The meeting was opened and addressed by uMkhonto weSizwe Commander General and President Jacob Zuma, who provided sound, instructive, and clear political, ideological, and organizational guidance to the members of the National High Command and the entire organization. President Zuma presented a clear roadmap towards total liberation and emancipation of the people of South Africa. The meeting of the National High Command was a resounding success in that we adopted the following important and critical documents in the life of the organization. The National High Command adopted the constitution, which will be published from today in the website of uMkhonto weSizwe Party. And it sets clear aims and objectives, values and principles, and establishes all the leadership structures of the organization. We will give key highlights of the constitution in this statement and read out some of the critical components of the constitution: the preamble, the aims and objectives, the section on membership, the section on duties and obligations of members. And of course, we'll then speak to what are the integral parts and organizations that form the uMkhonto weSizwe Party. The constitution of uMkhonto weSizwe Party also includes the code of disciplinary conduct and the minimum standards and code of conduct for all public representatives. The meeting of the National High Command also adopted a framework on the absorption of policy and research staff members, and a broad framework on how policies of uMkhonto weSizwe will be organically generated towards a policy conference. The policy development process is grounded on the people's mandate and the adopted constitution of uMkhonto weSizwe. The key emphasis is that our policies are aimed at total liberation and freedom for our people. The policies of uMkhonto weSizwe seek to realize the broad-based and total liberation of our people from political, economic, social, spatial, cultural, and knowledge or ideological apartheid and all other forms of oppression and exclusion. The National High Command also deployed national officials and members of the National High Command to provinces, but also constituted committees that are going to support the High Command in fulfilling its responsibilities and obligations. In terms of the deployments to provinces, the Commandant General and President is deployed to the province of KwaZulu-Natal. The Deputy President, Dr. John Hlophe, is deployed to the province via the website. And all the data that is going to be provided will be protected and not published publicly. That the MKP public representatives, which are the members of provincial legislatures and members of parliament, will be establishing constituency offices in all corners of South Africa, so as to make sure that they are accessible and represent our people effectively and efficiently. We're an organization of the people and will always be on the ground with the people. The National High Command takes note that there are several parallel structures and leadership formations at all levels of the organization. Such will come to an absolute end once the leadership has been announced at all levels. We will not tolerate insubordination and mutiny, and will isolate elements that seek to destabilize our movement. We call on all members of uMkhonto weSizwe Party who join first to avoid and stay away from the demons of gatekeeping and factionalism. There will be several members and leaders who will join uMkhonto weSizwe Party and will be assigned leadership responsibilities at all levels. Those who joined first should welcome new members and must not close the gate and feel entitled to leadership responsibilities. We are still at formative stages, and we should welcome and embrace all people who join uMkhonto weSizwe Party. We command all structures to abide by the decisions of upper structures at any given moment. We are a unitary organization guided, amongst other things, by the principle of democratic centralism. Now, we did say at the beginning that we are going to take members of the media and the membership of uMkhonto weSizwe through the critical components of the constitution of uMkhonto weSizwe Party. Can I take off my cap so that we're able to read that clearly? Now, we're going to circulate the hard copies for those of you who are here, but also will circulate the electronic version. So I'm going to go briefly now through the preamble of the Constitution of uMkhonto weSizwe Party. It reads as follows, that we, the indigenous people of the African continent, and all people of African ancestry all over the world share the common scars of slavery, colonization, and colonialism, which dispossessed us of our land, natural and economic resources, dignity, heritage, culture, languages, and identity. Since the beginning of slavery and colonialism, all people of African ancestry continue to be on the margins of mainstream economic and social participation and relevance. In South Africa, the black majority and indigenous people were subjected to centuries of colonialism and apartheid, which was manifested through a symbiotic combination of political, economic, social, spatial, cultural, and knowledge or ideological apartheid and oppression. The symbiotic and mutual reincarnation of these forms of apartheid and oppression constitute the core of why the black majority and indigenous people have and continue to be subjected to colonialism and apartheid, oppression, and exclusion. The period and era of the struggle against colonialism and apartheid have revealed that at the center of the liberation struggle has to be the aim for total liberation and freedom from oppression and exploitation. The struggle against apartheid and colonialism is not linear and always encounters setbacks and counter-revolutionary moments and episodes which must be resisted and combated through revolutionary vigilance, fortitude, and resilience. Political apartheid and oppression happened through the conquest, subjugation, oppression, and exclusion of black and indigenous people in the political life of South Africa, where the oppressed were not allowed to vote and be voted for. Economic apartheid and oppression happened through white minority capitalist oppression, where racism was used as an instrument of capitalist super-exploitation. And this constituted the backbone of colonialism and apartheid. Social apartheid and oppression happened through systematic and systemic racism, which positioned black people as an inferior race, not permitted to gain the same privileges as white people, or permitted to express their full cultural and traditional identity and existence as a people. Spatial apartheid and oppression happened through land dispossession and the relegation of the black majority into less qualitative and the least productive land and spaces of South Africa's surface. Cultural apartheid and oppression happened through the distortion, demarcation, and attempted obliteration of black people's cultural systems, including systems of traditional leadership, medicines, and custom, as well as undermining of indigenous languages, norms, and value systems such as uMkhonto and collectivism. Ideological or knowledge apartheid and oppression happened through the degradation of African knowledge systems, religions, and the imposition of colonial-based education system. While overt political apartheid was ended through the first inclusive elections in 1994 in South Africa, there still exist very strong and visible components of economic, social, spatial, and ideological knowledge apartheid and oppression. The system of colonialism and apartheid did not end in 1994, but took a different form and shape. Attempts to reverse the total impact and consequences of apartheid continue to be suppressed, bastardized, and criminalized by the white racists in partnership with black collaborators, all under the direct support of the imperialist and racist global order and its sponsored media. As with the leaflet announcing the formation of uMkhonto weSizwe in December 16, 1961, after the banning and legalization of the liberation movements by the white minority racist apartheid regime, the announcement statement made by President Jacob Zuma on the 16th of December 2023 is signaled our refusal to surrender to the struggle against neocolonialism apartheid. The statement of President Zuma on the 16th of December 2023 signals our refusal to surrender in the struggle against neocolonialism and apartheid. South Africa is currently still under neocolonial colonial and apartheid rule, which excludes the black majority and indigenous people from any meaningful economic participation and benefit.
MK Party recognizing that South Africa is still under neo-colonialism. Neo-colonialism, that is the preamble of the MK Party constitution. Better we discuss some of the most important parts of the constitution, some of the most important parts of the constitution, some of the terms that he uses on the constitution. Neo-colonialism, those who does not understand the word neo-colonialism, what does it mean? It's another form of colonialism. First form of colonialism was the oppressor being around, managing the oppressed on his own, deploying his own people, like the white person being deployed by London to come and be a prime minister of a colonial zone. So South Africa is a colonial zone for the British. So these leaders that we have, let nobody remember Ramaphosa. Let no one remember Ramaphosa. Let no one remember Julius Malema. Let no one remember those slave traders. So present the MK Party acknowledging the fact that South Africa is still under neo-colonialism. Neo-colonialism being a colonialism where the colonizer has already left the country but leave his proxies, meaning the slave traders are given the positions to lead as the slave master. Because what happens is this: when the slave traders are busy trading the slaves, the master is teaching the slave trader how to lead the slaves, so that when the master goes back to his country, he's got a representative in the name of the slave trader. In the name of the slave trader. The slave traders are the sellout politicians that we know. MK Party declaring KZN as a liberated zone. I have never looked at it in that way. But after the declaration, I realized that KZN, it is indeed the liberated zone of South Africa. The French have lost a lot in Mali, in Niger, and in Burkina Faso. They've already lost a big zone there. The colonial masters, French, have lost 3 zones which were liberated through the barrel of the guns: Mali by Asim Goita, Niger by Abdularam Mane Tiani through a barrel of a gun, Burkina Faso by Ibrahim Traore through the barrel of the gun, South Africa KZN by President Jacob Geleshekisa Zuma without using the guns. President Zuma mobilizing black people to become one in order to defeat the dollar, in order to defeat the Queen, the British monarch, in order to defeat the companies who are looting the resources of the land. President Zuma calling on black people to unite, gathering the intelligentsia of the black communities. President Zuma standing tall in the gap. This is where young people were supposed to be standing. But because most young people are fearful, most young people these days are cowards. And most of them are drunkards. They're not only cowards, it's because they don't. Most of them they don't have any ability to be aggressive, to fight this system. And these children were created by the system. So President Zuma standing in the gap for the young people, standing tall in the gap, ensuring that he liberates South Africa from colonialism. He liberates South Africa from slavery, from apartheid and imperialism. President Zuma standing in the gap, standing tall in the gap, liberating South Africa. Click the like button and subscribe. If you are new here, click the like button and subscribe. My name is uMkhonto. Today we're in discussion about the constitution of the MK party. Some of the most important part of the constitution, or some of the most important things that you can pick up in the constitution, is that there will not be any election for leadership for MK party. Leadership will only be appointed at the MK party by the owners of the organization, who are the owners of the land. The owners of the land are the people who are going to own the MK party, and the officials of the MK party are going to report to the owners, who are actually the public. MK party preparing to govern in KwaZulu-Natal. The GNU being very shaky. The MK party mobilizing support of a very strong intellectual black community to come and help with ideas on how to fight the system without losing a lot of life. President Jacob Zuma addressing people, saying that the reason the MK party does not have election is because there has never been anything good these days coming from elections. It is well known for all the political parties that whenever there are elections, it's only money that gets to manipulate and win. So the enemy are able to send their agents through the elections. They are able to easily infiltrate an organization through the elections. So in the MK party, there won't be any election of the leadership. This is very exciting. All the leadership will be selected by the top structures. Those who are deemed suitable by the top structures will be selected. There won't be any election by people. Let's go on. Let's listen as we dissect. Let's listen as we discuss.
South Africa is still defined by strong and continued presence of economic, social, spatial, cultural, and knowledge ideological apartheid and oppression. The statement of President Jacob Zuma, the 16th of December 2023, represents a clarion call that the struggle continues, and the current phase of struggle requires unity in action of all the oppressed masses of our people. The statement of President Zuma on the 16th of December 2023 is a call to action that will still lead to fight for true and real freedom and emancipation. Above all, the statement of President Zuma is a cry for the unity of the progressive forces which represent the oppressed. The statement represents the foundational contemporary reason why uMkhonto weSizwe party exists. Every cadre of uMkhonto weSizwe must read and internalize it. It must be conceptualized as a living document in analyzing the current conjuncture and phase the struggle and fight for radical economic transformation and economic freedom. uMkhonto weSizwe party exists to realize what the tradition of our people from political, economic, social, spatial, cultural, and knowledge or ideological apartheid and all other forms of oppression and exclusion. Total freedom, total political freedom means that as a people of South Africa and the African continent, we must be able to establish our own political institutions and take our own political decisions without supervision from the white former colonizers and the imperialist global West. Total economic freedom and emancipation means that the people of South Africa and Africa should be able to own, control, and meaningfully benefit from the economic resources systems and determine our destiny without neo-colonial and neo-apartheid interference and racist supervision. Total social freedom means that all forms of racism must come to an end and there must be a full integration of all the people who live and stay in South Africa. Total spatial freedom means that the whole of South Africa must be fully integrated and land must be shared equitably amongst the people of South Africa. There must be little distinction between urban and rural, and there must be no distinction between townships and affluent suburbs. Total cultural freedom means that whilst embracing the values of a democratic society, we should aggressively reassert our indigenous cultural heritage and systems. Total knowledge and ideological freedom means that we should regain full control of our knowledge systems in all forms of organized knowledge and decolonize educational systems and finance. Decolonization must lie at the ideological center of the new struggle for the total liberation of our country, the continent, and the world. The white colonial settlers defeated and subjugated the black majority of Africans in South Africa because the resistance and struggle against colonialism was fought by small groups of indigenous leaders and clans. In their journey of colonial conquest and subjugation, the white colonial settlers never encountered black people as a unified opposition against colonialism. With the liberation movement attempted to unite the forces of resistance from 1912 onwards, the period we are in has stratified and continues to divide black political resistance to neocolonialism. uMkhonto weSizwe party is therefore a political movement that seeks to unite all the anti-colonial, anti-apartheid, and anti-imperialist progressive forces to continue and to complete the unfinished fight for total liberation and freedom. uMkhonto weSizwe party believes that now is the time that we unite all the progressive forces, particularly those who are not projects of and instruments of continued white domination and oppression. uMkhonto weSizwe party unites the ideological strengths of freedom fighters who associate the wars of resistance against colonialism and apartheid, a radical and militant interpretation and application of the Freedom Charter, Pan-Africanism, Black consciousness, and similar philosophies. We believe that the phase of the revolution we are currently in calls for total unity
and unification of the progressive forces. uMkhonto, weSizwe Party, stands totally and fundamentally opposed to collaboration with colonial, neo-colonial forces and their descendants who still uphold and defend colonial intentions and aspirations. We acknowledge that the democratic breakthrough relegated African customs, traditions, and systems of governance, whilst other democratic, socialist, and progressive programs all over the world embrace democracy, socialism, and progressive change, aim at retaining and protecting their cultural heritage, customs, traditions, and recognition of traditional leadership. uMkhonto, weSizwe Party is a total liberation progressive movement fighting for total political, economic, social, spatial, cultural, and knowledge or ideological freedom and emancipation. The core value of our struggle is the unity of all the progressive forces and demonstrable moral excellence and capacity of those who will be deployed to play different roles in the state and other institutions. uMkhonto, weSizwe Party is opposed to colonialism, neocolonialism, neoliberalism, racism, sexism, and all unjust laws, systems and practices that seek to demonize black people and Africans in South Africa and the entire world. uMkhonto, weSizwe Party is founded on the fundamental philosophy that the greatest weapon in the hands of the oppressed is their unity in action. uMkhonto, weSizwe Party is a revolutionary political movement that is founded on the principles of progressive internationalism, Pan-Africanism, anti-colonialism, anti-racism, and the commitment to redress the legacy of apartheid and colonialism. The MKP is an organic movement that is fighting for the total emancipation of the people of South Africa and the entire African continent, and respects the role of African traditional and royal nation. Part of the immediate programs is the attainment of the aspirations of the Freedom Charter and of uMkhonto, weSizwe Party's People's Mandate, and the transfer of the ownership of the land and natural resources into the hands of the people as a whole. uMkhonto, weSizwe Party draws direct inspiration from the 1961 generation of uMkhonto, weSizwe, which say, "We are working in the best interest of the people of this country, black, brown, and white, whose future happiness and well-being cannot be attained without overthrow of the nationalist government, the abolition of white supremacy, and the winning of liberty, democracy, and full national rights, and equality for all the people of this country. We appeal for the support and encouragement of all those South Africans who seek the happiness and freedom of the people of this country, Africa, my people. To this extent, to the extent that today the nationalist government has been replaced by the same racist and exploitative forces and their black collaborators, there is no big difference between the situation in 1969 and the present conjuncture. In the words of President Zuma, the only major difference is that the bullet must be replaced by the ballot as our primary weapon. The uMkhonto, weSizwe Party is a symbol of our refusal to be subdivided and suppressed into small and viable formations that carry no capacity to fight for true and total freedom.
In 1961, uMkhonto weSizwe, which was then a military wing of the ANC, declared that they were going to take the country through the barrel of the gun. Today, President Zuma saying we are replacing the bullet with a ballot. Today, we're not going to use bullets to take the country, we're going to use the ballots. In my opinion, if I have to talk about it, in my opinion, this is why I disagree with President Zuma. There's no way I say it would be made possible for black people in South Africa to take over genuine leadership of their country through a ballot. through a ballot. The enemy has got bullets. A ballot will not be able to fight a bullet. Those two cannot be compared. A ballot versus the bullet will win. The colonizer still has the bullet, and the colonizer is using the bullet to keep himself in power. If you are going to try and use the ballot, is going to rob the elections like they did openly now. In this past election, the results were robbed. The issue is not even going to court. They are not in a hurry. They are not in a hurry to put that issue to court. They actually not even willing to put the issue to the hearing to court. They're not even willing to put that to the hearing. Because once it goes to the hearing, then it will be revealed that they actually robbed the election and took the country through the barrel of the gun. The oppressor is leading by the gun. The oppressor is using propaganda, two methods of leading. Two things that the oppressor uses: the bullet and propaganda. The bullet to remove those who seem to be rising against the oppressor, the propaganda to convert the middle class to defend the colonizer. And the money to pay the bought out political characters like Ramaphosa and Julius Malema, like Bantu Olomisa, like Musua Lukota, like Gayton Mackenzie. Those are slave traders. So I don't necessarily agree that South Africans or black people will be able to take their economy, their land, using a ballot, while the enemy has got bullets. Because the bullets are going to rain on top of your ballot. They are going to continue to openly defy the law, to openly rule against the law. They are going to continue to do that until you are on the blink. And then when you are on the blink, you go to the street, they go and kill most of the people there who will be marching. I wonder if we can declare KwaZulu-Natal as a liberated zone before the war. Because I think war will still happen. President Zuma does not have any appetite for war, but the enemy has got so much appetite for the blood. Apartheid and colonizers, they reign through blood. So his wish or his aim is very noble. President Zuma has got a noble plan and a noble wish to ensure that nobody dies in order to attain our freedom. But I don't see it as a possibility that we can actually get our land back, we can get our mines back, we can get our water resources back without a war. I don't see that happening. We can get our government and our institutions back without I don't see that happening. How will you do that? Because the person who's sitting there has got a gun. Even if you go and even if you come and tell him, I won the ballot, he's going to tell you you did not win. And then when you say, when he say you did not win, is the end of it. If you don't have the gun to insist that you actually did win and prove to him that you actually win the ballot, then there will be no chance for them to listen to you. So the appetite for war from the GNU is very high. The MK party saying they want to South Africans or black people to take the land back and its resources using the law and ballots. But the people that they are fighting, they don't use the law. They're outside the law. They openly define and rule against the law, openly, and legalize things that are straightforward wrong, that you can see that these things are straightforward wrong, making it legal. So it's not possible. That I don't agree. In my opinion, it's not possible for South Africa to be won back without some form of a war, because it means it's a lot of money. The land has got a lot of money. The agriculture in the land, it's a lot of money. The minerals. South Africa is the only country in the world which produces all the nuclear power material. If we want to manufacture a nuclear bomb, we won't have to outsource to anybody. We do have every material that is needed for manufacturing of nuclear bombs or nuclear armament or nuclear energy. In that way, this country is very powerful. It has got powerful resources. And it has been captured by the criminals who currently have guns, who will not want to hand it over without using their guns. They will want to use their guns first. The army is waiting to kill. The police are waiting to kill. Anyone who can go and protest now. I don't mean that senseless protest of the ANC Youth League that I don't know what these people are smoking sometimes. The ANC Youth League marching against the ANC. Why can't you call Ramaphosa and talk to him to fix? You can't be marching against your own organization, which is supposed to fix. Then if you are marching, then you are telling us that you are not the one who is governing. You should go out of power and let the people who have to govern, who wants to govern, to govern, instead of like joking around like that. These bought out characters sometimes they become disgusting sometimes. I don't mean such a protest. I mean the real protest which would bring um, uh, South Africa into bling, which would bring attention into the apartheid in South Africa. The state is ready for such kind of protest. The state is ready for such kind of people who want to do that. They will eliminate them. So they've got a high appetite to go to war and eliminate people. And then President Zuma, having no appetite at all for war, being pushed to the edge and to the corner every time, trying to maneuver around without declaring a war or without asking people to go out and protest. Because he knows the JNU is ready to kill the people who will go to protest and pin it on him. So I don't really agree that the MK party will be able to achieve taking the land without some sort of a gun backup. I think you need a gun backup. Let's continue to listen to this constitution as we dissect.
Different formations must never be regarded as ends in themselves. We must develop the ability to differentiate between tactics and strategy. Leaders and organizations will come and go, but the mission must always remain in place. Although some little progress was made due to partial political freedom since 1994, real and fundamental political, economic, social, cultural, and knowledge, freedom, and emancipation have not been fully realized. The hallmarks of colonialism and apartheid are still intact and demonstrated by landlessness of the majority, no economic power, racism and racial segregation, cultural subjugation, and abolition of the indigenous people, the dominance of external knowledge system and content. We, as uMkhonto weSizwe party, will unite all the progressive forces to fight for true and total emancipation, for the freedom, for this total freedom. We shall fight side by side throughout our lives until we have won our total liberty and emancipation for all our people. Africa, my goal. So that is the preamble of the constitution of uMkhonto weSizwe party. And we'll just skip through the objectives of what does the organization seek to achieve in terms of the constitution. Objective number one is to unite all the anti-colonial, anti-imperialist, and anti-racist progressive forces in South Africa to fight for total political, economic, social, spatial, cultural, and knowledge freedom and emancipation. Number two is to tirelessly fight for the return of all of South African natural and economic resources to the ownership, control, and benefit for all the people as a whole. Number three is to mobilize, educate, agitate, conscientize the people of South Africa behind the mission and vision for total economic emancipation, radical economic transformation, and economic freedom. Number four is to reclaim all the land and natural resources that were forcefully and violently taken from indigenous people and redistribute it to the people equitably through the instrumentality of democratic state. Number five is to introduce parliamentary sovereignty and power in a manner that will represent the interests and aspirations of the people. Number six is to democratically and decisively take over political power in South Africa, which will be used as an instrument for total freedom and emancipation. Number seven is to take over economic power and pursue economic expansion through purposeful state-led industrialization. Number six is to develop and grow the productive forces of the economy in a manner that will guarantee full employment and create conditions for common and full prosperity for all the people of South Africa. Number nine is to create full employment for all the people who need quality and sustainable jobs. Is to fight, number 10, for the interest, rights and aspirations of all workers, including the rights to unionize, to work in safe and protected workplaces,
and the right to earn a living wage. Number 11 is to fight poverty and reduce inequalities in South Africa. Is to fight crime and eliminate all forms of criminality in all spheres and sectors of society is number 12. Number 13 is to assemble the best qualified and most skilled relevant people to provide responsive and responsible government which will benefit all the people of South Africa and maintain mutually beneficial economic and social relationships with people of the African continent and the world. Number 14 is to promote intellectual work amongst black people, which will innovate, invent, and produce new ideas and solutions to the people as a whole, and in a manner that is organically connected to indigenous knowledge systems and appreciation of the progress made in other parts of the world. Number 15 is to fight for and introduce free, quality, and decolonized education for all from elementary school until postgraduate level. Number 16 is to elevate and officially recognize the role of royal, indigenous, and traditional leadership in South Africa's democratic system through giving clearly defined legislative and oversight powers to the National House of Traditional Leaders. Number 17 is to fight, champion, and advocate for the interests and aspirations of professionals, particularly those historically excluded from main participation through apartheid and colonialism. Number 18 is to fight, champion, and for the interests and aspirations of all military veterans and ex-combatants. Number 19 is to defend, promote, and protect all forms of spiritual and religious expressions, freedom, and association. Number 20 is to fight for, promote, and advocate for gender equality in all MKP structures and all spheres of society. Number 21 is to fight all forms and manifestations of gender-based violence and crime against children and people with disabilities. Number 22 is to fight for the cultural and knowledge, ideological relevance and hegemony of all South African cultural and knowledge systems and solutions. Number 23 is to fight for the mainstreaming of sound, traditional, and indigenous healing systems and medicine in a manner that will collaborate with and enhance scientifically proven solutions. Number 24 is to raise the level of political consciousness amongst all people of South Africa and thoroughly engage in the battle of ideas within our country, our continent, and the world. Number 25 is to fight racism wherever it is manifested. Number 26 is to resist any form of collaboration with the racist minority agenda and program. Number 27 is to decolonize South Africa's knowledge systems and laws in a manner that will embrace and uphold decolonized laws and systems against colonial and neo-colonial laws such as the Roman Dutch law and the English law and doctrine which lie at the root of the present so-called common law. Number 28 is to build sound and fair relationships between the people of South Africa and the entire African continent in a manner and direction that seeks to achieve gradual integration towards common prosperity, freedom, and development. Number 29 is to build sound and fair relationships
between the people of South Africa and the global South in a manner and direction that seeks to achieve common prosperity and freedom. The last objective is to contribute towards the progressive shift in the global balance of forces by strengthening institutions of the global South like BRICS Plus and all its alliances. Now, in terms of membership of uMkhonto weSizwe Party, it's open to all South Africans who are registered to vote and are above the age of 16. And membership is obtained individually through signing of membership form or through an online application, and therefore an allocation to a branch of uMkhonto weSizwe. And membership is open to all South Africans who are opposed to colonialism, white, minority, racist, domination, and collaboration. Members of uMkhonto weSizwe Party must wholeheartedly serve the people and be ready to make any personal sacrifice and dedicate their lives to realizing the aims and objectives of the organization. Members of uMkhonto weSizwe Party shall forever owe their allegiance to ordinary members of the working people. No member of uMkhonto weSizwe shall pursue any self-enrichment, personal gain, or privilege.
I don't falter this. I don't falter the Constitution. I can't falter the Constitution. This Constitution is very sound for any black person who really wants black people to be liberated. This is very sound. You can't falter what the MK party has drafted there. The only thing that I'm doubtful is the way in which those things will be achieved. This mandate is very clearly defined. The objectives are very clearly defined. A lot of people were talking before that nobody knows what the MK party aims to achieve. Now, the objectives have been clearly defined. The constitution has been adopted. The preamble have been read to the people of South Africa. The uMkhonto weSizwe constitution seeking total liberation from colonialism, imperialism, racialism, apartheid, economic slavery, black people subjected to all of those things. So uMkhonto weSizwe party calling for all of those things. The constitution having been like it's so clearly defined. There's no even their foreign policy so clearly defined, aiming to integrate the rest of Africa after liberating South Africa, aiming to liberate little by little, aiming to liberate even other zones of Africa who are still under the colonial masters. In actual fact, all the African zones are still under the colonial masters, except Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, who are liberated from French by the lions using the barrel of the guns. In South Africa, using the Ballot as anticipated by President Jacob Zuma, KZN has been partially liberated. Let me use that name, partially liberated. KZN is a partially liberated zone in South Africa. It's where the colonial master is not operating in peace in KZN. They are standing on their feet. So the constitution of the MKP cannot be faulted. You can't blame that constitution. There's no way I can really fault the constitution, besides the fact that it wants to take the country by ballot. What do you think? Give us your opinion. What do you think? Is it possible for the MK party to take the country through a ballot instead of bullet? President Zuma announcing on the 16th of December 2023 that the MK party, which is forming today on the 16th of December, by then, it was similar to the MK uMkhonto weSizwe, which was established in 1961. The only difference is the 1961 aim to achieve total liberation using the bullet. And then the 2023 one aims to achieve total liberation using the ballot. Do you, by any means or by any chance, think that the wish of President Zuma to achieve total liberation through a ballot is achievable under the circumstances in South Africa? Or do you think, like me, that this possibility is actually non-existent? Black people will have to stand up and fight, even if maybe it's not going to war, but black people need to be ready to go to war in order to be liberated. Burkina Faso is liberated zone now because the people there were ready to go to war with anybody who tries to get them back to uh, slavery. If you are not ready to do that, if you are going to compromise when they confront you, then it's never gonna work. And I suspect that in South Africa it's never going to work that we vote, because what will happen every time you vote, they will rob the election. Every time you vote, they rob the election. So what are you gonna do? Openly, they are going to do that. If you go to courts, they are going to win because they control the courts. What are you going to do at the end of the day? I understand that President Zuma is an old man with no appetite of war, but the regime that is fighting is bloodthirsty. Give us your opinion. Tell us, what do you think? Do you think it's achievable? What President Zuma wants to do, is it achievable? Give us your opinion. I thank everybody for joining. Thank you very much, Precious Malachi, Queen Precious Malachi, for joining our live stream, and thank you very much for everybody else who's joining. I see I've got 6 people who are on there. Thank you very much to all who are on there, even though you are not communicating. But thank you very much for joining us. My name is uMkhonto. It is the Royal Opinion. Click the like button and subscribe. And please give us your opinion about the subject that we're talking today. Tell us if you do think that it's possible to achieve total freedom in South Africa without using the guns. Tell us your opinion. Do you think it's going to be achieved through guns or through ballot? Bullet or ballot? Bullet or ballot is the question. Thank you very much. I'm going to end the live stream.